No audio. No audio.
Kiwanis Bypass Club.
Listen.
I think we have some heart bypass alumni attending today. Jeff is here with us. Let's give him a big round of applause for making it, not only making it to Roanoke, but making it to our Kiwanis meeting today. We appreciate that. And Eric is with us as well in recovery. We need these big hearts, so it's good that they're getting fixed. All right, and wasn't Kevin Matheson fantastic? Let's give him a round of applause. We love that he uses us as his practice session. It really makes meetings special. All right, first up, we've got Joyce Montgomery doing our introspection and Pledge of Allegiance.
Good afternoon. Well, as most of you know, there's nothing on my brain except K-pad. So money and K-pad. So in looking, something came across my computer that I thought, hey, this would work for us because we're a team, we're a unit, we work together for the same purpose. So I found this little, I think they call it a poem, that I thought fits us. And it's called, Do We Have As Much Sense as a Goose? A flock of geese flying in a formation V, much research reveals what you do not see. Each bird in front, by flapping its wing, creates an uplift for the goose following. Flying in a V formation, they change by 71% plus their flying range. Common directions and a sense of community. Our efforts become quick and easy. If a goose falls out of formation by chance, it feels greater drag and resistance. If we have as much sense as a goose, we'll stay in formation, we'll stay in formation if we're headed our way. When tired, the lead goose rotates to the rear, another taking its place in the air. It pays while doing hard jobs to take turns. Thus, no one is overburdened and gets burned. The geese in the back poke from behind, encouraging, gently, and kind. We must encourage others as they strive to meet the daily grind of life. If a goose gets sick and or wounded, if for some reason it gets grounded, two geese fall out of formation. They keep its company and for protection. Stay with it until it flies or dies. Such are the depths of their ties. If we humans have the sense of a goose, their way of life is what we choose. Please join me on the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joyce. That was very inspirational about us all working together toward one purpose. All right, next up we have Rita Joyce, who is going to do our introduction of guests.
Good afternoon. My name is Rita Joyce, and I am with the Bank of Botetourt. The Bank of Botetourt is a corporate member of Kiwanis. Why is that important? because the mission and vision of Bank of Botetourt aligns with the mission and vision of Kiwanis. The community is very important, and the Bank of Botetourt is a community bank. So we like to give back to the community. So you see the alignment with Kiwanis. Thank you. I have one guest to announce, so when I call your name, if you would stand with your sponsor, Jeff Pratt. There he goes. And his host is Lois James. We welcome you to Kiwanis.
All right, thank you very much, Rita. And now we're going to do some birthdays for April. And one of our birthday girls is actually here with us today, and today is her actual birthday. If you're here, we'd love to have you stand, and then we can celebrate you. April 1st, Chloe Willis. April 2nd, today, Andre Brooks. April 3rd, Eric Seachow. April 5th, Sam Darby. April 10th, Tim Thompson. April 12th, Bob Haberman and Bert Boyd. April 14th, Gary Dirk. April 18th, Jim Randalls. April 19th, Eddie Barnes. And April 27th, Dwight Steele. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Awesome. Thank you, Judy. All right, now for the exciting moment I know we're all desperately waiting for. Our pancake team is going to come up and give us our weekly report.
We got money. Wow. Y'all are not as excited as I am. I can see this. Everybody's eating. This turn-ins this past week were again impressive. 5,166. Week 2 weeks in, now we are a total ticket sales figure of 10,206. That's a great job, guys. You're doing wonderful. 36 Kiwanis have turned in money at this point, and a lot of them turned in some today. So we are great. But we're still kind of at the bottom of the hill. So we gotta keep going. We gotta find more friends. I would like to ask Bill Bestich if he will come up and give us a tip.
So I've been holding up the ticket like this and telling people, thanks to the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke, you can support almost 40 organizations and programs that help youth, seniors, older adults, and the environment for a donation of only $7. And in return, you get all the pancakes and sausage you can eat. And the people look at me kind of funny. I say, well, you know, $7 is not to pay for the pancakes. $7 is to support all these folks that are doing good things in our community. And sometimes people decline, and next time I see them, without even saying a word, they pull out some money and buy a couple tickets.
Thank you, Bill. So let's get to the top 5 teams. Number 5, the overachievers, Ben Spiker, captain, 1,213. Number 4, community, Hugh Brown, captain, 1,262. Number 3, legendary Transformers, Chris Rouse, captain, $1,937. Woohoo! Number 2, the Chargers, Burt Boyd, the captain, 2,467. Woo! For Burt. The Determinators, number 1 again, Jay Golden, the captain, 2,737. Woo! And anybody catch Joe? The big move this week was Chris Rouse, whose team of Transformers is closing in on Jay. He moved from 5th to 3rd. Part Chris jumped was sparked by 350 turn-ins last week from Darby and Val Brown. The biggest individual turn-in last week was Ruth Kessler. Woo-hoo! He is not only justifiably the proud of grandchildren, but also has a ticket sale turned in of 710. For Ruth. Now, the top 5 individuals to date. Number 5, outreach specialist, Michael Braca, $357. Meeting setup guru, Jason Paul, 549. Woohoo! Grand Papa, Ruth Kessler, 710. Independable, Mike Longman, 850. Woo, Mike. And number 1, Golden J. Golden, 1,050. We have to keep them in going, guys. And remember, money, see it, love it, taste it, smell it, bring it home. Who gets our great awareness this week? Well, looks like first place is Jay Goldwyn. Jay, can you come up and get your prize? Woo-hoo! We're giving him 100 grand again this week. Picture dog. Yay, good for you. And as last week, we didn't mention the 6 teams. And guess who? But I think it'll change real soon because he said the last will be first. So Kevin has decided that he would share. So we're giving the 0 to one of his team members. Just yes. So you still rule. Here's the rule. Rule is I will take money that will count for next Wednesday through tomorrow. So if somebody tonight or somebody in the morning says, oh, I've got this money, you let me know, I will get it. Chris Rouse and I have met several times during the week, on Thursday. So it does work. Call me, let me know if you have something you want, because the cutoff is tomorrow. And then what comes in after that is next week. So, and if you need us to pick up anything, just call Lois or me. Got it? Got it. Thank you.
What a fantastic update. Everyone is just cruising along. All right, we have a few announcements. Our insurance review committee is meeting today, immediately following our meeting in this space. Our KPAD leadership is meeting on Friday morning at 7:30 Tanglewood YMCA. And book club meets Wednesday, April 9th, 6 p.m. at the South County Library. The Fun Day Committee will have a Zoom meeting Friday, April 11th at 8 a.m. The Blue Ridge Marathon is coming up Saturday, April 12th. You all will be getting your shirts next week for that if you're volunteering at the aid station. The prayer breakfast is going to be Thursday, May the 1st. We do have folks who are taking tickets for that. You can check in with them. I know Bruce Swanson is helping with that, and Ken Briggs and Jackie Bledsoe. And Kids Fishing Day has been moved. I know I told you a different date last week. We've had to make another adjustment. So it's actually going to be May the 17th. If you already signed up, we're going to ask you to sign up again to volunteer. We do have signups on the tables. Bob Rutherford is heading up that effort. And then we also have our Salem Red Sox baseball game. This is one of our fun committee activities. So on your table, you should see a sign up sheet for this. And this is going to be Tuesday, April 29th. The game starts at 6:30. We'll be singing the national anthem. So we'd love to have you wear your Kiwanis flair if you can. We'll all get down on the field and sing the anthem together and then enjoy the game. It's a lot of fun to participate in that. Even if you aren't a good singer like me, it's okay because we're all in a big group, so nobody can tell the difference. Okay. We have got time for brag bucks. I know Mike O'Brocta has a brag. Ken Briggs, what would you like to add? Okay, Bruce will be in our foyer after the meeting to take any signups for tickets for the prayer breakfast. Okay, so I know we've got Mike O'Brocta to do a brag. I know Andre Brooks is doing a brag. Looks like Jeff Vick is coming up. Come on down.
So here's the severe weather outbreak.
Past President Brocta here with two brags. John is going to debit my account accordingly. And the first brag is about past President Andre Brooks, who's standing behind me. She deserves a brag for investing a considerable amount of time and expertise in updating one of the most important documents our club has, the policy document. This is a document that guides what our club does, how it does it, and it had been, shall we say, out of date. Andre, it's now comprehensive, readable, and it's posted where? On our website. Thank you, Andre. I'm talking this for myself and from my wife, Beth. We're bragging on just how supportive this Kiwanis Club is, particularly the leadership on the board, and the officers, and the 15 or so committees that Beth and I are members of. Collectively, they and we have figured out how to function effectively virtually, which is really important to Beth and I right now, since on Monday, we're leaving for 6 months for Scotland. Look forward to seeing you when we get back.
Before Andre does her brag, I want to present her with her superpower bookmark based on Mike's brag that he gave today.
My name's on here. Thank you, Mike, for that brag and for this too. in the tradition of John Bradshaw, today's my birthday, and I need to make a gift to the foundation for my birthday. But instead, I've made a gift, checks in the mail, John, to the foundation for a project that the past presidents have asked the foundation to put together. And it will be announced a little bit later, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can ask Lee, but I wanted to make my gift in support of that project.
Hi, I'm Jeff Vick, and I am a braggart. I'm pleased to brag today on my brother Kiwani Ben Spiker's ability to hit high notes as a tenor in front of David Wiley yesterday, saving us from much abuse and difficulty. That rehearsal was in preparation for our performance in the Roanoke Symphony Orchestra chorus, with, of course, the Symphony Orchestra and David Wiley of Carmina Burana this Saturday, 3 o'clock at the Berglund Center. Don't miss it. It's going to be an incredibly powerful performance, despite my poor efforts. Sunday, April 6th, 3 o'clock p.m. at the Berglund Center. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Mike Boy, and I have two books today. One is on Alex Barge. There he is over there. You know,
Very simple. You're not alone.
step up, fulfill his role, and he got some training today. So, Alex, thank you. The second is everybody who signed up for the Blue Ridge Marathon. I really appreciate it. The race, like Gene said, is next Saturday. I wanted to let you know you'll be getting an email from the race people about watching a video if you haven't already gotten that. I will also send out an email to you all with that link in case they don't get there. I think it was already supposed to go out last night, and I'm not sure that I didn't see anything. So anyway, you'll be getting a email with a link to watch a video, and it's just kind of the do's and don'ts of running an aid station and making sure you understand some of the things you've done. If you've done the aid station before, it's probably not a big deal, but gives you a nice background on that. Jean has been nice enough to pick up the T-shirts, like she mentioned. Those will be available if you're working the aid station. Will be available for you next Wednesday's meeting. If you're not here next Wednesday, then we'll have Saturday morning at the aid station. If you're a marshal, however, I wanted to mention it because we have 3 or 4 people signed up to be marshals, which is great. That's usually a job they have a hard time filling. You have to go individually and get your shirts at the pickup times that they've got available, which is like Monday and Wednesdays. So, all right. Thanks everybody for signing up.
I'm John Montgomery, and I'm bragging for someone in absentia, and that's Chris Rouse. The aforementioned Chris Rouse is on his way to the beach, but he's not too busy to be on Zoom, which doesn't surprise me at all. Anyone who knows Chris Rouse knows he doesn't let grass grow under his feet. But even though he's traveling to the beach, he asked me if I would do a brag buck in his absence, and that is on our own Leanne Reich, because although Chris joined our club in September, and I guess it's close 6 months of active participation. I think he's had one-on-ones with virtually everyone in the room, and stepped up as a team captain. And as I noted, my wife said, meets her frequently to give her money. I'm sure it's all up and up. But Chris also wanted to recognize Leanne because although he joined just in the last year, he reminded me that he was the guest of Leanne several years ago when he was employed by North Cross School. And his comment was, I always wanted to arrange it so I could come back to the club. And although Barb is his official sponsor, Chris felt that you had played a big role, Leanne. I'm glad you're here so you can hear that brag. Thank you.
It's in the junior school drama division. Was long after he became an actor.
Emotion. All right. So it's my pleasure now to introduce introduce David Perry, who is going to be introducing today's speaker.
Thank you, President Jean. Good afternoon. My name is David Perry, and I'm pleased to welcome to the club this afternoon Cam Terry. Yes, Cam Terry is founding farmer of Garden Variety Harvests in Roanoke. He moved from Denver to Virginia in the fall of 2017 with the dream of starting an urban farming business. Cam's formal education is in video production. So Mike, you might want to talk to this guy. I'm not critiquing your skills. I'm just saying he's available. And his career to that point has been spent in film projection booths, behind various cameras, and in the sales of fine ethnic art. But after making a film about an inspirational farmer, vegetable gardening captivated his attention and took most of his free time for several summers. Before Lane, he recently became a father. So now he grows a lot of plants and gets to grow a little human too. Terry with Garden Variety Harvest.
Corresponds, he fully reprised his role as president in 2022's Gun Maverick, found by Tuesday in Philadelphia.
Thanks. I'm gonna plug this in real quick and show them the right slideshow. Because there's a lot on this flash drive.
It's convicted. And Bush is a breaking news on the company that just made a bid to save the social media app used by millions of Americans.
John Bradshaw, mute yourself.
The kids are. It's the perfect addition to any Easter basket. Perfect for your free month. That's free Easter bundle.
Sorry to keep you waiting. So yeah, like David said, I am the founding farmer of Garden Variety Harvest. This is a urban farming business. I moved to Roanoke to start 7.5 years ago. We are embarking on our 8th growing season as we speak right now. We might actually put some tomatoes in the ground today, although it might be a little bit early. Keep talking. So yeah, for the first 4 years of the business was made up of a network of backyards in community garden property. I think the highest number of properties we ever worked at was 6 at a time, basically in exchange for a share of vegetables for folks. I got the use of their yard, and then we would kind of amalgamate all those vegetables together and sell at a farmer's market once a week. I started the business in that way because that was all I could afford to do, right? Land access is a real challenge. And so, but it was always with the goal of getting to this place you're about to see here on the screen. Not this space specifically, but somewhere where we could kind of consolidate all of the operation and run a regular old business, right? Where people clock in and clock out and put a lunch in the refrigerator, like things that are kind of totally foreign to most production farmers who work from sunup to sundown and require odd arrangements with workers to try to make everything work. So this picture is of Lick Run Farm. This is less than 2 miles from where we're at right now. This is on 10th Street and Andrews Road in Northwest Roanoke. We're right across the street from the Lick Run Greenway and Brown Robertson Park. The property is about 3.5 acres. And as of today, about 1 acre of that is in vegetable, like high intensity vegetable agriculture. And it is the site of a former plants nursery turned permaculture farm. Before that, it was abandoned for a while. And now for the last 4 years, we've been running it as a vegetable farm. Next slide. Family running a nursery on this parcel from the 1940s into the early 1990s. They were really well known for rhododendrons and azaleas, and the family lived in that home and ran a family-run nursery there for 30, 40, almost 50 years. And then when they stopped running that business, and then eventually both Mr. and Mrs. Kroll passed away in the early 2000s, the property sat derelict for a solid decade. Rick Williams, who was the farmer that we took over from, saw it as a potential permaculture experimental site and moved to buy it in 2010. And that's who we took over possession from. Next slide. So these are a couple pictures of what the farm looked like for the first few years. So on the right there, that is my backyard in Southeast Roanoke. So and it's a rented home, by the way. So I made sure that it was okay with my landlord before we even signed a lease if we just tilled up the whole backyard and turned it into vegetables. And what I found, you know, kind of working in this community since we started here, is that there are plenty of people who are super enthusiastic about the idea of their space being used for food production. It can be really exciting for folks. And even though it might be a little bit of a risk from a like cleanliness standpoint, I mean, it's a little bit different than a lawn or whatnot. We were able to find a lot of people who were really enthusiastic about the idea of us, in exchange for $300 worth of vegetables for a year, turning their whole yard into a little micro farm. But the inefficiency that is like farming out of the back of a truck and making sure you have everything you need when you leave at the start of the day and that sort of thing, it drove me nuts as soon as I started doing it. So it was always kind of the plan to be able to like establish ourselves as vegetable growers, as people who provide you know, a fresh product to market, and then use that equity that we kind of establish in those few years to get onto a new consolidated piece of land. Next slide. That picture on the left is another backyard, my in-laws' backyard, actually. They're the reason that we decided to come to Roanoke in the first place. I had this idea of farming people's backyards, and my in-laws had bought a house in Garden City about 6 months earlier and didn't really have a plan for the backyard, and found that empty nester syndrome was a real thing. And so encouraged us to come shack up in the basement while I started a farming business in the backyard. That's the second picture in the middle there is of one of our first farmers markets. We really focused early on, because our land base was so small, on high value, quick growing crops, because we're working on such small space. And we didn't, we had, you know, 1 year leases with everybody that we worked with for those first few years, which works out because even if you think you might want to be farming a particular piece of land for 5 years, after a year of working with a particular landlord, you might decide that you don't want to. So 1 year agreements really worked for us. Next slide. Here's a good smattering of the type of produce that we grow. We grow over 45 different vegetables on our farm. Some of those are in season for less than a month. Some of them are in season for all 52 weeks of the year. But that list at the right is the top 10 most planted. So we grow a lot of lettuce, carrots, and other salad greens. Okra is an odd one that people see up here and are shocked. We found that there are many restaurants and eaters in the Roanoke area who fancy themselves Southern cuisine connoisseurs, if only for a few months out of the summer. And so we've found that okra is a product that works really well for us because it tolerates summer heat. It is very, very productive, and it's easy to grow. So even though we have to wear gloves when we pick it because it makes your hands itch, we find it's worth it compared to other things that we could be picking kind of on a daily basis, things like green beans and so on and so forth. As we've moved to Lick Run now, we can grow a lot more diversity because we don't have to be so worried about what the dollar per square foot is for watermelons or for sweet potatoes, which are, you know, three things that sweet potatoes and potatoes, three things that we really did very well with last year on our new farm and are excited to bring back. Next slide. This slide is all about kind of the reason that David, I think, kind of asked me to come and talk. The land access situation for us was always an issue, right? We started on backyards because we couldn't afford to buy land. Just because we're selling vegetables doesn't mean that we're suddenly rich enough to go and buy land. And truthfully, as a small scale, like hand scale organic farmer, maybe it never makes sense to take on $250,000 in mortgage debt. One bad year could really ruin a lot of that. So we were always kind of looking for a partner that could kind of bridge the gap for us. And that's where Agrarian Trust came in. Agrarian Trust is the 501c3 land trust who started this idea of localized agrarian commons chapters. And those nonprofit boards seek relationships with farmers and then seek ways to put them on land in equitable ways, right? So my lease at Lick Run is 99 years. It is inheritable to whoever I choose to leave it to. And if my business invests in the land in a tangible way and then chooses to leave the lease, we can be paid out the cash value of whatever the depreciated value of that greenhouse we built on the land is, right? So I like to refer to this type of an arrangement as land ownership light, you know? We don't have an excessive mortgage bill that is hanging over the business every month. We pay the property taxes and the utilities just like a barber shop or a dentist office, right? The truth is that there are not a lot of arrangements for small scale agriculture entrepreneurs that really work, right? Because the expectation is always that you own your land. You probably own it because it was passed down by family. And in my situation, since I did not have access to land in that way, we had to get creative. So we, with Agrarian Trust, raised close to $500,000 to be able to get tenure at Lick Run. That paid for the renovation of the farmhouse to kind of update it from what was basically a skeleton of a house. It had been torn down to the studs and the foundation had been repaired, but Rick had run out of money as far as putting the house back together. And so we crowdfunded the money to rebuild the house, put up a deer fence, build a greenhouse, build a packing infrastructure, and pay Rick for his time spent on the land and all the money that he had spent over the last 10 years trying to invest and save this place from ruin. And so I will say that the fundraising total that we were asking for seemed like a totally insurmountable number to me when we put it forward. But I am eternally grateful, not just to our immediate community, which was very supportive, all of our friends from the farmers markets and, you know, local nonprofits and even the city government who stepped up and helped us with this, but the fact that we have the relationship with the National Land Trust gives us access to way more funding streams, right? Family foundations from other parts of the country who are interested in this work of putting underserved farmers on land in more permanent ways, less risky ways for their businesses and building up the local food systems in that way. Next slide. The Agrarian Commons, our chapter of the Agrarian Commons, the Southwest Virginia chapter, is actively seeking board members to join us. And so I would be derelict if I did not include this here. You know, we want to do another big project, right? So the project that we selected the first time around put one farmer on land and really fortifies a community and creates a community center. The next land project we would like to pursue probably enables a much wider set of farms. Envision a larger piece of more rural property where 5 businesses might be able to cohabitate, right? So a livestock farmer and a vegetable farmer and a flowers farmer and so on and so forth, kind of each having leases on land that are fair, but sharing resources in a place. And so that's kind of the vision that we have for the next project that Agrarian Commons will take on. And if you're interested in kind of helping us to guide that work, we want to talk to you. This QR code would just take you to a Google form where you talk a little bit about what your interests in, commons land ownership might be and what your skills might be that you bring to the board. And then we'll follow up with you and see if it might be a fit for whatever is next for Agrarian Commons. Next slide. This work is not done by one farmer. Often it can kind of look like that because I'm the one who comes out and does speaking engagements, right? Right now, my parents and my staff are at the farm farming, right? So this work takes a lot of people. Right now, the farm is a paid staff of 4, kind of varying between full-time and part-time, plus myself. And my parents, who I mentioned, are the most dedicated set of volunteers you've ever seen. It is a really rewarding experience for me to be in the position of teacher and boss on my parents, right? But it is, it's such a remarkable experience to be able to go to work in a place like this securely every day and just work to build community and feed folks with all of my best friends and family around. So I feel really privileged in that. That's not what this slide is about, but when we start talking about like who is with us in this work, that's where it starts for me. The nonprofit that Rick started when he started trying to reclaim this land also still exists and shares space with us at the farm. So the Lick Run Community Development Corporation was founded in 2014. They share office space with us there. They share lease to some grounds where they are working on community planting projects of perennials, blackberries and peach trees and so on and so forth. And they write a lot of our educational programming grants. And so that is, that's the nonprofit that I've asked for our honorarium today to go to is the Lick Run Community Development Corporation, because, they are, one hand washes the other in a lot of ways in that relationship. People ask all the time, are we a nonprofit farm? We're not. We run a for-profit business that, pays the wages of a handful of people. Having a relationship with an on-site nonprofit makes it so that we're eligible for a lot more when it comes to, grant funding and stuff like that for the community initiatives that we want to do. Next slide. LEAP is another amazing partner for us. I kind of knew of LEAP even before moving here, just because I did a Google search when we decided we were going to move to Roanoke. They run the best markets I've ever seen, which are affordable and fair for small market growers. The mobile market is an amazing buyer for us because we get to give them vegetables and then they go to 15 places throughout the city and sell those vegetables when it wouldn't really make sense for us to try to retail in all of those places. They also helped a lot with the fundraiser and do a lot of community organizing around local food systems. They are the lead on the Virginia Fresh Match grant, which means that anybody who comes to our farm and buys from us and uses SNAP doubles their money because of that grant, right? So all of the vegetables sold to SNAP customers at our farm and at our markets is half price. And they opened a grocery store just almost a year ago, which is really exciting for us in a place where grocery stores are few and far between in Northwest Roanoke. Next slide. The Harvest Collective works a lot with us. You may have heard about the Harvest Collective and Star City Compost. They're starting they have started the first municipal compost facility in Roanoke. They do curbside pickup and drop off. Everybody should look into that and sign up if you care at all about keeping methane from coming out of our landfills. They also work a lot in these community planting projects where they assemble a whole bunch of volunteers to come and learn about a type of planting, and then they execute that type of planting. And so that's how we ended up with a few berry patches and other polyculture projects on the farm. The next slide is also about the Harvest Collective and how you can get in touch with them if anybody is interested in joining in work days. These are the people who lead them. In fact, there is one at 3:30 today at the farm if anybody's feeling like getting their hands dirty. Next slide. We do so many events at the farm, and that's just kind of the nature of being so urban. 10,000 cars drive by us on 10th Street every day. And so there is forever somebody coming and asking, can we do, or should you do, or you should do. With the things that we've decided we should do that I'll mention here are Okra Fest. The secret is out. We love okra and we want to throw a party every September to celebrate it. So this year will be the 4th annual Okra Fest. It's the Sunday after Labor Day. And then the other big one, which I'll leave a flyer for on your way out, Spring Social and Egg Hunt. Egg hunts and urban farms just go together, right? Like you have space where you can spread eggs out. And so we've been doing this for 2 years now. Our third will be on April the 13th. It's a fundraiser for our farm camp. So we call on all of our favorite local businesses to contribute prizes. We correspond a number to all of those prizes and we put them in plastic eggs and we spread them about the farm. And then people for $15 can enter to go and find those prizes. And these prizes are real. Some of them are worth over $400. We have brewery gift cards and nights in hotels and, skincare samplers and all kinds of really cool art and stuff like that. So if you're wondering at the end of the presentation, how can I get involved with things happening? Put April 13th on your calendar and come out and hunt for some eggs. Yes, it is a very competitive experience. Wear your knee pads and bring your sharp elbows. And running shoes, closed-toed shoes are required. Next slide. More arts and events. That's Cora Lane, who I mentioned. Chloe has done an event like a family-friendly rave. They call it Groovy Baby, where kid-friendly tunes are played and families can come out and just, frolic and play with fun light toys and stuff like that. And then that's a mural that was painted the first year of Okra Fest that Renee Dower did on our wall in the community room. Next slide. Easter last year, Gabriel was putting together masks with everybody, like masks, and then the picture on the left is Okra Fest from last year. These events just keep getting bigger and better. We started with 90 folks the first time we ran Okra Fest. Last year, I think we had over 300 people. And it's just, it's a really good opportunity for people to get out and commune with one another and break bread and celebrate the bounty that comes from our agricultural spaces. And you don't have to go very far to do it, right? If you live in Roanoke, this place is less than 15 minutes from your house. So you don't have to head all the way out to Botetourt County to be a part of a real deal farm festival. Next slide. More about Okra Fest. Can you tell I love okra? Next slide. These are the details of the Spring Social. Last year, there were over $3,000 in prizes in the pool and 90 people out there searching for them. So you do the math. You're going to make out on that $15 ticket just fine. It's a fundraiser for Take Root, which I think the next slide will tell you about. Take Root is an ongoing and iterative experience for us. So the first time we did Take Root, it was an internship where kids came after school 3 days days a week, and they learned farming techniques and how to prepare foods and a lot of soft skills training. And we've done different versions of that. The version of Take Root that we fell on last year and really loved was the farm camp. So we brought 3 teens onto the farm for a day a week for 5 weeks and kind of trained them up in some of the things that we do. And then for a week, they helped us lead a camp with younger kids, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, where they were picking their own flowers and making farm crafts and playing games and just kind of generally getting fresh air. And then on the last day, everybody got to slip and slide. So we found that we really liked this model partly because we get it all done kind of in quick succession. It's not something that drags out for 12 weeks and we're kind of committed. We're done with the farm camp within 5 weeks, including the training period. But also, it means that our dollars go further. When you are paying interns to come onto the farm, that's really expensive. And grant funders look at that and they have problems with bang for buck and couldn't you be reaching more people? So our idea was, well, if we bring, 10 young kids on the farm for every kid that we're paying to be there, then suddenly we're reaching 30 people with the same money that we used to reach with 3. So that's what we're doing again this year. The Lick Run Farm Camp is July 21st through 25th. There will be a flyer here for that too, which if you have 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in your life who might be interested in farm camp, send them our way. The applications for both campers and counselors are open right now. Next slide. More about Take Root. They helped us build our very first greenhouse on the farm. And so they really, like a couple of the interns, when they're on the farm for events and stuff, they're pointing to these buildings and stuff and saying, hey, I built that, right? So we're in this position now where young people who are graduating high school in our neighborhood see our place as something that they can take ownership of and be proud of. And that feels like a real step in the right direction in a city where horticulture does not really reach the top of the list as far as what our schools are teaching, right? These are important skills, and if they're not picking them up in schools, we take very seriously the idea that we can fill that gap because we have space and we're close to schools, right? Next slide. There's the slip and slide on the right, and as you can tell by the graph at the bottom, we let one of the interns do the soaping and it got really out of control. So it turned into more of a dish pit than anything. Next slide. This is a really cool program I'm excited about. You'll see a flyer about this too. The Lick Run Veggie Club is basically our version of a CSA. Who knows what a CSA is? Less than half the room. CSA is a community supported agriculture. The idea is the farmer enrolls people in a subscription program so that they can get reliable payment and then have choice as to what they provide to the consumer, right? So this is for people who are adventurous and excited about vegetables. We provide basically about $20 a week in value, and we accept SNAP and SNAP on that too. So if you are a SNAP customer, then your shares are half price. And then we raise funds in the community to be able to offer sliding scale shares to people who are not on SNAP but cannot afford the full $20 a week. We're still accepting applications for this too. So if there are people, it is neighborhood specific. We want the Veggie Club to be people who live close to the farm, specifically Northwest Roanoke. If you are not in Northwest Roanoke and you still apply, maybe we'll get in, but we're not going to guarantee anything. We definitely give preference to people who are close to the farm. Next slide. This is the end of my show. So these are the dates that I know of so far that you can come and see us at the farm. We do a monthly Wednesday evening farmers market. That's that April 30th date. Okra Fest, Spring Social are both up there. This is how you get a hold of me and us. And you're always welcome to stop by. There is a self-serve honor system farm stand at the farm, 24 hours a day. You can stop by and buy vegetables there. You just drop cash or check in the slot, or you snap a QR code to pay on Cash App. And if you take an extra bunch of parsley, nobody will ever be none the wiser. Is it a theft risk? They say so, but I figure if you're stealing vegetables, then you probably need them. And we want to make getting our food as easy as possible for the people in our neighborhood. And for us right now, that can't mean that we staff a whole store, right? Because we would go broke doing that. So this is our solution, is you help yourself. And that's not to say that if you have questions, you can't ring the doorbell and ask about it. So those are the ways that you can kind of get in touch with us. And the next slide is all about questions. Oh, these are okra ornaments. We got really creative this Christmas and turned them all into snowmen. And I think they're really cute. And you see our slogan, eat your yard. No, we don't farm yards anymore, but we still think that you should eat your yard. Good. Questions? Yeah, good question. The question was, are any of the original backyard farms in the network still growing produce? Yes, the one that comes to mind immediately is Doug Jones took over my plot in the Huntington Avenue neighborhood. And he started a farm there. It's called Drifting Farm. He planted 900 loofah plants last year and turned them into like sponges and stuff like that. So yeah, he's selling those things at the farmers market, the same farmers market that we go to in Grandin Village every week. And he also put some loofah products in the Spring Social prize pool. So if anybody needs a new washcloth, then that's out there in the hunt. The question was about deer. How are we handling deer infestations? We spent a lot of money on a deer fence, and it works, thank God. Deer would be a big deal for us because we're so close to the greenway, right? So you've got deer that come and try to get to the water to drink kind of on a daily or maybe twice a day basis. And so the fence was very important. One of our fences is still kind of homemade and sees a little bit more penetration than the rest of it. But deer are not our number one problem. Our number one problem as far as pests, groundhogs, of course. And they are coming out of hibernation right now. So stay tuned. Any other questions? Great. I'm going to leave some flyers out for you to check out. And I apologize that we probably don't have enough for everybody to take one. So if it's the last one on the table, I'd encourage you to just take a picture of it so that everybody can learn what we're trying to say. But thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
So as Cam mentioned, we do have an honorarium that we're giving to Lick Run Community Development Corporation. And I'm also going to add 8 pancake tickets to go in that egg hunt. Prizes.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I think that was an awesome presentation. So a lot of you may not realize this, but I actually lived behind that property for 5 years when I first moved to Roanoke. I rented a house there from 2018 to 2012, and I was there when Rick Williams started reclaiming that land into a small farm, and it was a very exciting time to be there. And people in the neighborhood were really excited about it because they missed having that there. And it is definitely a food desert. I mean, Family Dollar is probably the closest store to folks who live nearby, and that's not a place that people should regularly have to get groceries. You know, it's important to have fresh food available in all of our neighborhoods. So thank you very much for that great presentation, and thank you, Dave, for bringing that to us. Next week, we're going to have Virginia Mountains Outdoor Collection, Michael Clark, who many of us know, formerly from City Parks and Rec, and he's hung his own shingle, right? Couple of them, and he'll be talking to us, so we're excited to have him. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.